So welcome to JG's Fight Talk. You're here for another live prediction. Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte. No, it's not an old video from 2015. It's the rematch. 2015, guys.
Yes.
Ridiculous. 12th of December. And to be fair, what a fight. It was a real one of those grudge match heavyweight fights where they just didn't like each other. And to be fair, there's some great shots landed, some real absolute like rocky punches going on in there. And the finish by Joshua was a cracking uppercut, wasn't it? And it really sent Dillian to sleep. I thought it was a great fight, in my opinion. It took Anthony sort of to that next level to move on and crack on with what he wanted to do. Dillian, did it really cause him much of a setback? Because to be fair, he's kind of just picked whatever fights have come along, isn't he? Really, he's just kind of gone with it, and they're back in the position again for the rematch. But I can't believe it's that long ago. Can you? It's crazy.
It seems like yesterday. Like that
time is flying. It's frightening.
Like night itself was a big night for Irish combat sports that night, because you had Gary Spike O'Sullivan fighting Eubank as the co-main event on that card. And then you had Conor McGregor fighting for his first world title that night as well, when he won in 13 seconds. So that was like a huge
That was Aldo, wasn't it?
Yeah, against Aldo.
Yeah.
Funny story about that, right? I woke up just before the ring walks for that, and I was setting up the projector. And by the time I turned the projector on, it was literally the bell went, fight had ended, and I went and woke up my friend, and I was like, it's over already. Sorry. He'd missed the whole thing.
To be fair, that was well, yeah. That's difference.
That was a night that will stick in my mind, because those two fights especially, but obviously Joshua Whyte as well being the main event of the.
Jesus, it shows how long ago back when Conor McGregor was winning fights.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. There is that as well. But yeah, AJ, 28 fights, 25 wins, 22 knockouts. Dillian Whyte, 32 fights, 29 wins, 19 knockouts. So they've moved on since then, you know. But the mad thing is, their last opponent, the same guy. AJ, obviously, Jermaine Franklin, 1st of April 23, so not too long ago, a win on unanimous decision. And then Dillian Whyte, 26th of November was last time he was out. Will that work in his favour? Jermaine Franklin, winner on majority decision. So yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? That they've both thought the last guy is the same guy. Both kind of. Jermaine Franklin seemed to turn up more against Dillian, and he put in a good shift against Dillian, to be fair, and that's kind of given him the recognition to get the Joshua fight. But yeah, how do we see this one, lads? I'll go first if you want, because it's.
You go first if you want to.
Unheard of. Don't nod, Luke. You're not meant to agree. It's bad enough with Ender.
Sorry.
No, that's a really bad idea.
For me, I'm going to be honest. It's AJ again. For me, are we going to see bombs in this? Of course we will. Could I see AJ being dropped in this fight? I could see that as well. But for me, I just think Joshua does it again. You know, the bigger picture's still there for Joshua to be involved in those bigger fights. Dillian, for me, just hasn't been the same since, was it?
Povetkin.
It hasn't been the same, has it, since that first fight? When he got that was a bad knockout as well. He just hasn't been the same for me. And he seemed to have sort of bumbled his way along. And yeah, for me, I just think Joshua wins this, and I think he gets that mid to late stoppage. I think he gets that again, and I think the way he's got to do it is to revert back to the Joshua of old, and find that grudge again, isn't he? That's what he's got to do, because Dillian can box. We know Joshua can box, but Dillian will take him later on, like we saw against Chisora in the second fight. There was that was a great fight. Chisora was winning the fight. Dillian, bang, that was it. Game over. So that it's still there. But I just think for me, AJ just takes it for me.
Fair enough.
What was the method of victory?
I think stoppage, mid to late.
Okay. I'll go next. I'll let you sum up wonderfully, Luke. So I'll
thank
be the jam. I'll be the jam in this sandwich. What I think is, I've said. Oh, now I'm in the middle. What I said, and I've been on the record for this, is I felt that since the first loss to Usyk, it feels like AJ has lost his mojo, his X factor, his animal instinct seems to be missing. He seemed to be very hesitant in throwing punches, hesitant about coming forward, about releasing that kind of venom that we know he has inside him. Will Dillian get that out of him? That's a good question, and that's the $1,000,000 question. If he
Do you
does,
think he will, Ender? Do you think
well,
he will?
if you listen, I will tell you. What I think will happen is is I think that this will be great because it's the old kind of the old sparring kind of partner, the old warhorse, his old enemy, back to London thing, and it's in the O2, and I think it'll be a great night, with those two headlining. It'll be real kind of, it has a kind of a bit of a grudge match element to it that Dillian Whyte can bring. Dillian Whyte is fairly resilient, so I'm not sure that AJ is going to get Dillian Whyte out this time, and I think it's going to be a controversial, or not controversial, but a close points decision, and AJ will get the nod because, hey, that big Saudi payday. I mean, AJ might win it on merit, but I still think it'll be a close run thing, especially if the AJ without any bite shows up. If he's just kind of pawing and puppy dog and playing with his food rather than kind of just going for the jugular, I definitely think it could go the whole way to points, and I think AJ will get it on points. So there you go.
Thank you very much, Ender. I should have waited and listened. Luke.
Look, I can see what Ender means by if AJ doesn't bring that nastiness that he had. Probably hasn't had it really since the Klitschko fight. He got dropped so heavy and very nearly lost that, and he's been a bit safety first since. And he probably should have been more safety first against Ruiz the first time. He learned his lesson there. But I think with Whyte, they've got that grudge. That needle is always going to be there. They're never going to like one another. I think, if he
it's
does...
a different fight, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a different fight when you've got a grudge.
And with Franklin, I mean, Franklin, I thought he drew against Whyte. I thought that was the fair. I had 6 rounds apiece. So I thought that would have been the fair result, and there should have been a rematch there, in my opinion. Franklin was crying out for. When you think about it, Franklin is only 6'1". He's a very small heavyweight, especially for today's terms. So when Joshua fought him and was jabbing him and moving him and pulling him around, that's easy enough to do against a guy that size. But if Joshua paws out the jab against Whyte, Whyte's got those really long arms, freakishly long arms for his size. He's 6'4" himself, so he's not a small fella. And if Joshua does paw out that jab, Buddy McGirt is going to have Whyte throwing right hands over the top. Do you know? So I don't think Joshua's going to be able to afford to come out tentative. I think he's going to have to come out and assert himself and show dominance straight away. And I think that's when it'll break into a bit of a firefight.
Yeah.
Now, look, we've seen the only punch so far to knock out Whyte has been an uppercut. Left or right doesn't seem to matter. He'll get knocked out if you hit him with an uppercut. So you have to imagine, Joshua's banking on, getting that jab out, blinding him, throwing the uppercut behind it, and getting him out of there. I think he'll get him out. Maybe not as quick as last time. Maybe not round 6. But I think it'll be 8 or 9, and we'll see Whyte fall again because, unfortunately for Whyte, he seems to fall at the last hurdle. And regardless what anyone says about Joshua, he's still one of the top 5 heavyweights in the world, you know, if not top 3. So we have to give him his kudos there. And at the end of the day, White's not there. So I think Joshua should get the job done. But if he goes safety first and boxes his way to a safe, boring 12-round decision, fair play to him, because it's probably what he should do.
You must have been in on my prediction there. Back
No,
up, back off. You
I'm
back
saying,
away now. You're with your 9th-round
You know
knockout.
what?
or whatever.
I
My
think it's right.
prediction-
If he invites White into
Oh
the fight,
yeah,
I think that's dangerous because White works off momentum, and I think if
Exactly.
you give him the momentum, I think he's in. But Joshua's got to beast him from the word go. Really,
my prediction is 8 or 9. Joshua gets him out of there cold, knocks him out. But if AJ goes for a boring points decision, we'll say, I don't blame him, because he's got, this time around, there's way more on the line than there was in
exactly.
2015.
The big Christmas in Saudi.
Exactly. So like in 2015, nobody knew Joshua was winning the world title next. Do you know what I mean? No one thought that. You know, people thought, oh, he'll probably defend his British title a couple of times, build himself up. But no, he got that title shot straight away, and it was trusted upon him, really.
well, that was his 15th fight.
Yeah, and in fight 16, he goes on to win the IBF title. So
yeah,
you know, we didn't know that back then. Neither did he. He didn't know that there was a title shot on the line, essentially.
Yeah.
But now this time, it's the big one against the hardest puncher in the last 30, 40, 50 years, maybe more. So this time he's got a lot at stake. So we might see a bit of safety first, but I don't think so. I think it's going to turn into a bit of a fight, and I think Joshua will knock him out.
Yeah. No, definitely. Well, let us know in the comments. There's a good mixture there for you as well. Are we going to get one of those sort of a easy points win for Joshua, or is it going to be that messy one where it goes through the fight and we get to the end and Joshua gets given it? Or are we completely overlooking White? Will he come out as a different animal knowing it's Joshua, and this is a big chance for him to get the name that he craves for his CV almost? Is this the one? So yeah, let us know. It's seeing this fight coming round again. It does excite me, because this is, as we say, there's not many grudges out there left in the heavyweights as such, and this is one of the heavyweight grudges, isn't it? And as you say, we're going back to the old school here. There's a bit of history. You know, they've always kind of mouth off at each other as over between fights and this sort of thing. And now we've got to this point, so they're more mature. They've got more fights under their belt. Do we see a different result? Let us know in the comments. Hit the subscribe button as well and check out the rest of the stuff. But this will be the fight to see. 12th of August, 2 days before my birthday. Thank you very much. Yeah. And someone said on here, what about the undercard? I don't think anything has been announced as yet.
And given
given the past,
I wouldn't hold up much hope for much of an undercard.
I think
the undercards are never great
on the main event.
Exactly. So
they always look at Joshua as the cash cow, the selling thing, and whatever's underneath, people are just waiting for Joshua.
I think realistically, it'll probably be like a women's world title fight as the co-main event.
Yeah.
And then like a couple of English, and then maybe like the likes of Johnny Fisher, something like that.
Oh, Johnny Fisher will definitely be on the
Campbell
card.
Hatton,
stuff like that, you know.
A Campbell Hatton. Oh,
they could show Campbell Hatton and his name's after going out of my head now. The other young chap, Dempsey McCain.
You never know. Carlos Takam gets chucked on a few undercards. I'll give you that. They do like Carlos Takam, but we'll see. It's going to be a great, as I say, a good grudge fight. We're looking forward to it. Let us know in the comments. And as I say, lads, thank you very much as always. We look forward to this one. And until then,
have it.
Some of this. It's around there somewhere. I'm not used to being on this side. Have some of that.